Your aim looks perfect. Your hold feels calm. Breathing is under control. Still, the shot goes out. Why? What if I tell you the problem is not your aim, not your hold, but one small mistake in how your trigger finger touches the trigger? It's one of the most common, and most ignored mistakes in rifle and pistol shooting. And it silently costs shooters 10, 15, sometimes 20 points in a match. In this video, I'll show you what wrong trigger zone really means, how it destroys good shots at the last moment, what SCATT actually reveals, and how to fix it, step by step. If you care about your score, don't skip this. Every shooter remembers this moment. The sight picture looks perfect. The hold feels calm. Breathing is under control. And yet, the shot breaks, and the pellet lands not where the sight was pointing. You look at the target in disbelief. You replay the shot in your mind. You blame timing, hold, even luck. But very often, the real culprit is much simpler and far more dangerous: pressing the trigger from the wrong trigger zone. Almost every shooter, beginner, junior, or elite, faces this problem at least once. Some recognize it early, many don't, and those who ignore it keep losing points without knowing why. What makes this problem so dangerous is that it hides behind good aiming. The shooter feels correct, the process looks correct, but the finger is quietly speaking the wrong language to the gun. This post dives deep into one of the most misunderstood yet performance-deciding problems in rifle and pistol shooting. Pressing the trigger from the wrong trigger zone is a mixed problem, never just one-dimensional. It is process-related, because trigger operation is a critical part of the shooting sequence. Physique-based, because finger length, joint mobility, hand size, grip anatomy, and wrist alignment matter. Equipment-related, because trigger reach, trigger shoe angle, trigger weight, and grip geometry directly influence finger contact. Psychological, because stress, anticipation, fear of delay, score anxiety, and over-control alter finger behavior. What does wrong trigger zone mean? The trigger should be pressed using the correct functional zone of the trigger finger, which differs slightly between rifle and pistol but follows the same principle. Pressure must travel straight back without lateral force. Pressing too close to the fingertip causes instability and sudden jerks. Pressing too deep near the first joint introduces sideways pull. Pressing from the side instead of straight back transmits force into the grip and wrist. Rifle versus pistol trigger zone, critical distinction. In rifle shooting, the trigger press is straighter, more linear, and far less tolerant of side force. Usually the finger pad is preferred, with minimal joint bending. In pistol shooting, finger articulation is greater. Depending on grip angle and hand anatomy, some shooters use the pad, others use controlled joint engagement. However, any sideways pressure immediately rotates the muzzle. This distinction is vital. Many shooters unknowingly apply rifle logic to pistol or pistol logic to rifle, creating confusion and inconsistency. Why does this problem arise? Poor early-stage trigger education. Trigger reach not updated after growth or grip changes. Finger tension transferring into forearm, elbow, or shoulder. Overthinking the moment of release. Fear of overholding or running out of time. Trying to help the shot break. The shooter believes the issue is aiming or hold. In reality, the trigger finger biomechanics are compromised. Effects on performance. Technical impact. When the trigger is pressed from the wrong zone, the following technical issues appear: horizontal or diagonal group shifts. Sudden micro-movement of sights just before the shot. Disturbance of barrel alignment at the final millisecond. Loss of follow-through stability. Inconsistent shot release timing. The rifle or pistol does not move after the shot. It moves because of the trigger press itself. Quantifying the damage. From real training data and match observation, a slight sideways trigger press can cost 0.2 to 0.4 points per shot. Over a 60-shot match, this equals 12 to 24 points lost. Group size increases by 30 to 50%, even with stable hold. Shots drift consistently toward one direction, creating misleading correction attempts. Many shooters train for months to gain 5 points. This single issue quietly steals 15. Trigger weight plays a role here. Heavier triggers amplify wrong zone errors. Lighter triggers, when combined with poor finger placement, cause premature or surprise breaks. Psychological impact. The mental damage is often deeper than the technical loss. When shots keep landing away from the center despite good aiming, the shooter starts doubting their hold. Overcorrecting aim, forcing the trigger, rushing shots, freezing on the trigger. This creates a destructive loop, from confusion to frustration to fear to control loss. Over time, confidence erodes. The shooter stops trusting the process and begins chasing results. The internal language also shifts. Instead of calm cues like, press through, the mind starts shouting, fire now, don't miss, or, just shoot. Words shape muscle behavior. Wrong words create wrong trigger action. Identification of the problem. Observable signs and symptoms. Clean sight picture but inconsistent scoring. Repeated lateral misses or diagonal dispersion. Visible movement at the instant of release. Trigger finger visibly tense or curling. Grip pressure changing during trigger press. Better dry fire scores than live fire scores. Late match deterioration despite stable early series. Fatigue often reveals this issue clearly. After 30 to 40 shots, finger flexors lose fine motor control, and shooters unconsciously press from the wrong zone. How to distinguish it from similar issues? This problem often looks like hold instability, breathing mismatch, NPA errors. But the key indicator is this. If aiming looks correct and the shot still breaks badly at the last instant, suspect the trigger zone. Remedies and corrections. Physical fixes. Adjust trigger reach so the finger naturally rests in the correct zone. Ensure grip size allows independent trigger finger movement. Maintain neutral wrist alignment. Balance grip pressure so the trigger finger moves without disturbing other fingers. Synchronize breathing so trigger pressure builds during stability. Technical corrections. Use SCATT or NOPTEL to analyze the final 0.2 seconds before release. Identify lateral spikes, hooks, or kicks in the trace. Practice blank target shooting to isolate trigger behavior. Introduce delayed break drills where the shooter does not anticipate release. Conduct match simulations focusing on trigger quality, not score. Mental remedies. Establish a reset ritual after poor trigger execution. Replace command-based self-talk with process-based language. Visualize straight back pressure before every series. Train confident abort decisions when trigger feel degrades. Trigger control improves when shooters learn when not to shoot. Progressive drills and workouts. Basic drills for beginners, at home. Dry firing against a blank wall. Finger isolation exercises without the gun. Eyes closed trigger press to feel direction of force. Mirror observation of finger joint movement. Intermediate drills, range-based, blank card live firing. Progressive trigger pressure drills. 5-shot groups scored only on trigger quality. SCATT trace review after each series. Advanced drills, competition level, time pressure series with trigger discipline scoring. Distraction drills during trigger buildup. Finals style simulations under fatigue. Post-shot evaluation focused on trigger feel, not impact. Physical and mental conditioning. Balance and coordination drills to reduce compensatory tension. Finger and forearm endurance training. Breathing regulation exercises. Daily journaling on trigger feel. Visualization of perfect trigger press before sleep. Adaptation for different audiences. Beginners. Learn correct finger placement early. Teenagers. Recheck trigger reach during growth phases. Elite shooters. Monitor subtle drift under pressure. Coaches. Diagnose trigger issues before changing aim or position. Under current ISSF regulations, reduced clothing stiffness places higher demand on clean trigger mechanics. Time constraints increase trigger-related errors under pressure. Equipment remains adjustable within legal limits, making correct setup essential. While ISSF rules do not specify trigger zone usage, poor trigger setup within legal limits magnifies this problem significantly. As external support decreases, internal precision must increase. A junior shooter consistently shoots 9.8 to 10.2 in training but drops into low 9s during matches. SCATT analysis shows stable approach, calm hold, sudden lateral movement at release, The cause is pressing the trigger too deep near the first joint, creating sideways force. After correcting trigger reach, finger placement, and mental cueing, the shooter regains 15 points within 2 weeks. This problem does not shout. It whispers through every missed center. A senior coach once said, "The gun only does what the finger tells it to do." If the finger speaks the wrong language, the shot listens carefully. Perfect aiming cannot save a wrong trigger zone, but a correct trigger zone can save imperfect aiming. Have you ever felt your aim was perfect, yet the shot betrayed you? What changed when you looked deeper? If this content helped you identify a problem you may have been struggling with silently, share it with your shooting friends and teammates. Like this video, subscribe to Horizon Shooting Sports for practical, experience-driven shooting education. For personal guidance in trigger correction, mental training, match preparation, or shooting equipment optimization, reach out. One correction can change your entire shooting journey.